Hello everyone, welcome to this video. No, your eyes are not deceiving you. It is indeed me. I am back. Thank you. I know I've been gone for a while. I haven't uploaded a video. I haven't even recorded a video until now. I lost all motivation to record or even really live my life. But I've been keeping myself busy with hobbies that I picked up during quarantine. One of them is yoga. The other one is reading. I read so much more since I didn't have anywhere to be, and I reached my reading goal early for this year. My goal was originally 10 books and I'm already on my 11th, so I changed my goal to 20 books for this year. I made a video like this in the summer, so go check that out. I'll link it somewhere. I'll probably link it in the description. I'm doing the same thing here, and then I thought that maybe I'd make a follow-up video towards the end of this year with the 10 other books I've read. Hopefully this will be engaging. I know that a lot of people don't enjoy reading or don't maybe have the attention span to get themselves to get reading, but maybe me talking about these books will either motivate you to read more, or you can just live vicariously through me and be like, okay, this girl explained the book, so I don't need to read it. Just consider me your spark notes in that case. Okay, without further ado, that was a long intro. Let's get started. The first book that I read in 2020 is Insomnia by Stephen King. Now you're probably like, never heard of that in my life. Well, guess what? Your world is about to change. It centers around this man named Ralph, which is my dad's name, by the way. So reading it was like reading about my dad. He was getting less and less sleep every night, and then he was pretty much staying up all the time, and then he starts having hallucinations. And he's like, whoa. I don't feel like I'm on the same plane of reality as you, all you other people in the town. This takes place in Derry, which is the same town as It. I heart Derry, but this is takes place in the 90s, so Pennywise is or is not gone, don't really know. And the conversation of how the universe works and what is the plan, all of that is called into question. Overall, the story is very solid. It's just the ending kind of dragged on a little bit, I felt. Especially the epilogue. The epilogue was so long, but also important. So it's I need to know what's going on. But just summarize it, honey. I kept track of all of the books that I read on the app Goodreads. Don't know if you've ever heard of it, but if you're on there, add me as a friend. I rated this book 4 stars on Goodreads. It's a rating out of 5 stars. I rarely ever give books 5 stars, but I think I gave Gone Girl 5 stars. I love Gone Girl. Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started on that. Next book. All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. This is a YA novel. You would not catch me dead reading a YA novel if I didn't have good reason. So this is definitely not your average YA. It's kind of like how The Fault in Our Stars had the cancer, which gave it more depth. It wasn't so surface level. It was so much more of a coming of age thing. And I feel like most young adult novels, they try to be, but it's the nerd and the popular kid meet and they fall in love, which was kind of what happened in this. But it also mentions, okay, we're gonna do a little trigger warning. It mentions suicide, depression, and all that dark stuff. I was so attached to Finch. Violet wasn't as interesting to me, but I think it's because she didn't say much, and that's probably just because she was depressed, which isn't her fault. But Finch stole my heart. He reminded me a lot of a friend that I have, and I'm if my friend went through this, I would cry. That really helped me connect to the book, and I might have shed a few tears while reading. I rated this 4 stars on Goodreads. To pick myself up, the next book I read is The Exorcist. So you're probably are you satanic? No, actually. This book is not what you think, okay? Never judge a book by its cover. Haven't you ever heard that saying? Come on. Sure, it's about a girl who may or may not be possessed, still not really clear about that. She throws up green slime on people. It happened, yeah, true. The devil was mentioned once or twice. His name came up a few times. However, this book is so educational. Really. It goes into depth about the psychology behind possession and the fact that most of the time people who are possessed are actually manifesting it in their mind, and it produces physical symptoms, and how exorcisms pretty much just help get people back on track mentally. It's kind of complicated. A lot of the language that they use in this, I was what does that mean? But overall, you get the gist. It's okay, is this girl just off her rocker, or is this really a demon inside of her? And I rated this book 3 stars on Goodreads just because I wasn't really into it that much. as like a story, but it was really interesting. All the psychology stuff was super interesting, and now I feel slightly more educated than I would have been if I didn't read the book. The next is technically 5 books in one. The Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. So all 5 of the books are in this one edition, but I only counted it as one since it's all just in here. I'm not gonna lie to you, most of the time I did not understand what was happening in this book. Most of the terminology was either like made up space mumbo jumbo, or I just didn't know the concept that he was describing. So I was like lost most of the time, but sometimes here and there I would grasp what was being said, and I was like, oh, okay, I can see that happening. Before reading this, I heard that it was like really funny. I got a few chuckles out of it. It wasn't like haha knee slapper, but you know, sometimes I would blow air out of my nostrils, like, you know, when you see like something funny on Twitter. But like when the parts that are humorous are clever. It's also really fun because hello, they're in outer space a lot of the time, and it also discusses how the universe is super unpredictable and just like exists, and like it doesn't care about your feelings. Things just happen. My one complaint about these though, the endings, they didn't wrap up the storylines. They didn't connect to the next book. They just like ended in like the weirdest way possible, which I guess I understand because we're kind of going with the theme with the universe, the probabilities and all that. It's all random. It doesn't have to make sense because it doesn't make sense. So I guess that's what he was trying to do. That's what I'm thinking. So I don't really appreciate that because it doesn't help me sleep at night to not know like how things wrapped up in all the books. But I do respect the artistic side of it. Despite all that, I rated this 4 stars on Goodreads. The next book is Needful Things by Stephen King. Here we are, back with my man. Missed you. I'm telling you, when I read books in between his, I'm like longing for him. I'm like, I miss you. You know that song by Miley Cyrus or Hannah Montana, I guess. This was jam-packed, full of action. Is that how you say that? And I would call this a page turner, quite frankly, because you never know what was gonna happen next. First of all, it's the store. People are like going in there and think weird things are happening, but it's like, what could possibly be happening? The storekeeper's like really weird, and he like smells weird or something. And like, or no, he doesn't smell weird. If like he like gets too close to you, you're kind of like, ooh, what the fuck, this man? So like, I wanted to get to the bottom of it. It tells the story of multiple characters and then they like cross paths, and I love that. However, this ending of this book also felt like it dragged on a long time, just like Insomnia. I don't know if it's Steven, I don't know if it's me, it's probably me. It's like, Steven, wrap it up, come on. But the thing is, he gives a lot of detail, and like the details are essential. It's just like, oh my god, just get to the action. Like sometimes that's how it feels, but it is all essential to the story, so I do respect and appreciate all of the info. Thanks for the info. Thanks for not leaving me in the dark about anything. I rated this 4 stars on Goodreads as well. 4 stars is kind of like my 5 stars, just because like I don't want to just be throwing 5 stars out there, you know. And also 4 is an even number, so like that's how it works in my brain. The next book that I read was actually on a poster that I own. I will insert a clip of it. I did read a few of the books on there already. You scratch off the picture when you finish the book, and this was one of the books. Fahrenheit 451. Most people read this in high school maybe. I never did, but I always heard about it and I was curious about it, so then I read it. This was published, I'm pretty sure it was 1951. Yeah, 1951. So the concepts that the author was able to come up with at the time were very interesting and advanced. He pretty much like talked about AirPods in this. And the concept of you don't have to distract yourself with stories and all this stuff. But books give you imagination and they give you personality and different perspectives on things. So that was basically the book, and I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. The next book was also on my poster, 1984. By George Orwell. This is another one that people read in school. I never read it in school, so I was like, okay, I'm ready, let's go. Similar to the last book, it's very interesting to see how the author way back when, I think this was in the 40s, 1949. And this book goes more into depth about the technology of the future, which is 1984. It was the future to them, it's the past for us, which is mind-blowing to me. We're talking about like telescreens and the way that politics worked and the power that politicians and the party and what Big Brother and all that had over the people. And I realized that this is why the show is called Big Brother, because Big Brother's always watching. And it freaked me out. I was like, this could happen. This is like realistic. dystopia. The ending kind of dragged on. I feel like this is a theme with me. I'm pretty sure it's just me. So like, sorry Steven for even suggesting that it was you. But I feel like the ending dragged on because it kind of went in a direction that I didn't expect it to go in. So I was like, okay, what is the point of this? But then it started to make sense, and the ending I was just like, all right, like, wrap it up. Just wrap it up, hun. I rated this 4 stars on Goodreads. Are we surprised? No. Most of these got 4 stars. I will say my taste is impeccable. The next book I read was given to me by my friend Gabby, who is my book buddy. Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn, who wrote Gone Girl. She is iconic to me. So I was like, let's read some more of her books, girl. However, I didn't particularly enjoy this very much. It's also kind of triggering in the way that it deals with like self-harm. But also I felt like the ending was kind of predictable. You kind of figured out what was going on towards the end and you're like, oh, got it. And then so when they said it, you're like, not surprised. There's really not much else to say about it. It's pretty good if you want to start getting into like thriller, suspense, books like that before playing with the big dogs, aka Stephen King. I definitely recommend. I rated this 3 stars on Goodreads. The next book is a very unknown book. I doubt anyone's ever heard of this. It's called Shattered Silence, the untold story of a serial killer's daughter. That's freaking interesting to me. I don't know about you, all you true crimers out there. Melissa Jean Moore, I guess was on Dr. Phil and like told her story and then she wrote the book about it. I don't know. This book was given to me as a gift in 2016. Girl, and I never once picked it up, but then I was going through my stuff and I discovered it again and I was like, wait, this is kind of interesting. It's super interesting to see the perspective of a serial killer's daughter. Like, what is the environment like growing up? However, the amount of typos in this book is ridiculous. So often they came up, and then at one point she was talking about her siblings and she literally used the wrong name. So a completely different name, and I'm like, how did this get published like this with all these typos and you use the wrong name? Maybe it's because she like changed the names and forgot to change one of the names one time. I don't know. It was like the brother's name was like Christian and then it said Jonathan on a page. I'm like, who is that? Okay, those weren't the exact names, but like, you get it. But it was definitely interesting and I definitely sympathized with her and I feel for her for the struggles that she went through in her life in general and also because of her father, who, trigger warning, he liked to kill cats. What is with people and cats these days? I just don't understand. Netflix? Please answer me that. I rated it 2 stars on Goodreads just because it was not redeemable whatsoever because of these typos and changing the name. Like, that is unforgivable. Also, I don't know, I felt myself being like, all right, tell me more about like the stories with like your dad and like going into more detail about like this and that. And she just was like, then this happened and then that happened and then I had a crush on this boy and I was just like, oh, I just want to know about your dad who killed people. Like, I'm sorry. And then she was on Dr. Phil talking about like God and stuff and I'm like, whoa. I'm not all about this conversation. Last and certainly not least, I read The Stand by Stephen King. Look at this heftiness. 1,400 something pages. Woo-wee. This took me like 3 weeks to read. I don't know. Slow and steady. I didn't read it too often just because it's like you read so much and it's like overwhelming because there's so much going on. And since it's very similar, not very similar, kind of on par with what's going on in the world right now, it kind of freaked me out, so I need to like to breathe, you know what I mean? But it was engaging. Like, I didn't feel like putting it down most of the time that I was reading it. It's another one of those stories where it focuses on different characters and different chapters and then at some point they come together and it all like coincides. This is definitely another page turner at certain points. Sometimes you had to deal with like backstory. It's kind of like in It. There's a lot of backstory, but like it's essential. Like, you need to know like who are these people and you know, you need to sympathize with them and have empathy for them and what they're going through. I'm also cynical because I purposely started reading this. This is also on my poster, but there's literally a sickness going on in the world right now. And the fact that like Stephen King, Stephen, if you're watching this, which he won't be, but like, how does it feel to be a fortune teller? Just wondering. Obviously it's not as bad as the book, thankfully, yet anyway. But this is definitely a good book. I do recommend this. There's a reason that everyone says that it's amazing and they love it, because everyone I talked to about it, they said it's their favorite or they love it or they heard it was great. And I heard the same thing and I'm telling you the same thing. So definitely, if you have patience, or even if you don't, like it might take you a year, but why not pick it up and try? Unless you're too afraid because it's kind of too real. But overall, I rated it 4 stars on Goodreads. I don't know why I didn't rate it 5. Yeah, it wasn't on Gone Girls level, but it is great. That concludes my list for the 10 books that I read so far in 2020, and I'm super excited to read my 10 other books. I don't know how soon that'll be, but let me know if any of this sounded interesting to you, if I inspired you to read one of these or check it out at least. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.